There's so many people in the job market right now, especially for your mid-tier to upper level executive professional roles. Companies have just been really aggressive with their cost cutting, many times eliminating the whole team, sectors, layers of management that used to have we'll call it the internal, knowing the internal workings of the company, knowing that institutional knowledge about how to get things done quickly and cost effectively. But a lot of times those hierarchies were built up over time because of siloed reporting, siloed management approaches. And now they want to use matrix approach. They want to be more flexible, fungible, all that good stuff. Basically, it just means cost cutting. They want to get the headcount to a certain number, and the areas whose leadership can defend or negotiate better or has revenue generating potential are able to kind of navigate those changes. It's never by a set like formula. If you do A, you'll get B. It's usually a mix of everything and a little bit of good luck, bad luck, or just, what decisions get made in the boardroom, and they make those lists. And sometimes key managers in various roles, various departments are exited. And in worst case, they don't even bother to pick up the slack. They said, okay, we'll work it out, we'll live without it. In other cases, they may try to offshore parts of that workload or parts of that contribution, the things that those teams did. Some other cases, they'll say, oh, we're going to automate that. Yeah, but it can come in fits and starts. So what may be documented, let's say the SOPs, standard operating procedures, the objectives, the key processes, they may be known by name or in a high level format to those senior executives, but they may not know the hands-on keyboards, inner workings, communication threads, the details that happen to make those things come to life, to make those things available for the internal organization and also for the external customers. So there may be a lot of assumptions being made when those changes happen, those org changes happen, and then the organization has to adjust, adapt, and regroup. So all that said, there's I won't say a new wave, but there are specific taglines, specific keywords that can tell when an organization has an urgent need to hire. So they might go through, based on the laws, they have to publish or post job openings. Everybody wants to say they're fair and equitable in the hiring decision process. Yeah. So the reality is some jobs are more urgently needed than others. From my experience and some of my colleagues' experience, we find that some of the questions to ask is this an urgent need? Does the organization need this role to be filled? And if so, by what date? And then you can also ask, what is the objective? What is the goal, objectives, benefit to the business by filling this role by that date? And if it is a true urgent hire, they'll be able to tell you very spot on, says, hey, we have a regulatory deadline. We need to get this done by this date to meet that deadline. Or they may say if there's a revenue generation opportunity, says, yes, we have to meet this customer contract that we have. So this is a dependency in order for us to meet those obligations to our paying customers. Those jobs are urgent need. Another area of urgent need jobs is when you see that it's a backfill for someone that may have gone on leave. I find that organizations move more quickly to fill those roles, especially if they know the person is going on leave and they want to get their substitute, right? They want to get their backfill in the door before that person leaves. They will be acting with a sense of urgency to fill that role. And feel free to ask. There's no harm in asking. Say, hey, is this a backfill role? How did this role get open? Why is it urgent? And if so, is it a backfill role? And then you can ask, what is the timeline to get onboarded in order to have that connection and transition, knowledge transfer with the employee that will be taking leave? We'll find that those roles are so urgent, they move through the decision-making process, through the interview process very quickly, because it's not a nice to have, it's a must have. So now you come into a position with an urgent need, a mandate for specific things to get done, you could roll up your sleeves and get at it, get to it. We also find that in that role, you're able to discover and learn as much as possible in a very quick time because you'll be leveraging the access, the relationships, the tools and resources that have been left behind by that person that's going to go on leave. So you might get like, let's say a week or maybe 2 week overlap. That's your training day. And you can leverage all the access, basically say, hey, clone my roles and access to these systems as if just like John over there. I'm working hand in hand with John, so we'll keep these things seamlessly moving forward during his leave. So when he gets back, we'll be picking up right where we left off. So, things like that can open doors of opportunity, both learning the organization, but also preparing for yourself a more permanent role. Once that backfill need is fulfilled, then you can prioritize and say, okay, John did these 5 things. I'm backfilling for John during this time, but I'm going to expand into these 3 other areas and create the SOPs, create the relationships, create the context so that my role will continue and add more value once John returns from leave. So opening the door of opportunity to take a backfill role is actually a green light nowadays. It's not a step back. It's a green light to launch forward. Enjoy.